So, since yesterday we were discussing about quantifying risk, we are going into the next step, like forward today. So, qualitative risk assessment tools. See, in this world, what you can quantify is which can be measured in terms of some units. But when it comes to qualitative factors, it is very tough to measure quality in terms of numbers. If I tell you there is there is a boy who is like very clever, who is intelligent. So these are the like qualities he has. How much clever he is, there is no mechanism I have to measure his, his like how clever he is, okay, or his intelligence I cannot measure. Am I right?
Right.
Maybe I have made some uh, I have made like some self in the sense satisfactory units to measure his intelligence or something, because when we like send our kids to school, they judge the performance based upon some marks or some ranks, isn't it so? So the first
Right.
rank is exceptional or brilliant, but maybe the brilliance can be more than that what we are measuring. So there's no measure of brilliance or no measure of intelligence or no measure of cleverness. But yeah, to satisfy ourselves, we try to scale them, we try to put them in some scale, okay, so that we can at least be like can satisfy ourselves, or for our needs we can put things on scale, we can put the qualitative things also on scale, okay. So now how to do, let's see. So
Okay.
qualitative assessment is used to consider qualitative factors such as the potential for lost customer goodwill. So how much is the goodwill? Like see, goodwill is what? Name and fame. It can increase or decrease. How much it is increasing, how much it is decreasing is what we can't measure. But it has a quantitative aspect as well, since qualitative risks can lead to quantitative losses, of course. See, goodwill is nothing but name and fame, and that is purely qualitative. But if there is a loss in goodwill, that can lead to loss of customers or loss to business, correct? So it is a very important aspect. We should consider this factor as well, okay, to study the risk. Now, qualitative risk can be assessed with a risk map or risk heat map, which is a visual depiction of relative risks. So, some risks yesterday I have discussed with you that they are related to each other. So, we are trying to study those risks with the help of a map, risk map, which would be a visual depiction of those risks which are related to each other, and then we will try to study like how each and every risk which is related to each other can cause, or for example, like if a bank gives loan to a customer whose credit ratings are down, so that creates a credit risk and that magnifies the default risk as well. Am I right?
Right.
It increases the default risk to many fold or many times. So these two are related ones. So let's see in the map how we are going to discuss that, okay. How we are going to see the depiction, okay. Just a second, just a second. Yeah, so for each identified risk, the probability of event happening. So what we are seeing, we are picking up one risk here. we are seeing the chances of that happening, or some events that can happen and that can like cause these kind of risks. Okay, and we plot them, and we put them in a scale of 1 to 8. Okay, that is what is the practice here. So along the x-axis, so I'll show you the figure here. So they have put the probability or happening of risk from scale of 1 to 8 in the x-axis. Next, the estimated monetary impact of losses plotted on a scale of 1 to 8 along y-axis. Again, see, when this particular risk is like happening, then how come it can cause a monetary loss to you? So that monetary impact is given on y-axis from 1 to 8. Okay. Once it is fully plotted, a risk map will clearly show how risks have high probability and high loss, and which risks have low probability and low loss potential. That means we will see the highest probability which risk has, and the highest loss potential, and the lowest probability and low loss potential. So if a particular risk involves quantitative factors such as monetary loss, that means you can check now how much percentage you have incurred the loss. The potential quantitative loss is included as well in the assessment. So suppose if there is a risk, and that risk can cause you some monetary loss in terms of some dollars. Okay, so the potential quantitative loss also we are including in the assessment. Now, to see the monetary impact of that, so in addition to helping management pinpoint important risks, it's not only like helping the management to point out where they have the risk. A risk map such as the one following provides a portfolio view of risk. Portfolio view of risk is nothing but there are a lot of risks which are connected to each other or related to each other. So we are seeing the depiction is about the combination of risk. That means it's not only the risk we are seeing in isolation. We are seeing how the risk which is related to another kind of risk can have a collective impact on the monetary loss. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, so we are seeing the combination of risks and the combined impact of those combined risk on the monetary aspect, or how they are collectively causing the monetary loss. Okay, that helps the risk manager to do a risk management function very properly or efficiently. Now let's see here. So there are some risks mentioned here. Risk A, which is here, you see the probability of that happening is also 1, and the monetary impact is 1. So you can see here. And then there is a risk B, whereby the probability or frequency of happening that is very less. Of course, it is like only 1, but the monetary impact is 8. Am I right? See, the
Yeah.
probability is less, but the impact is high, correct?
Right.
Here the probability is less. For risk A, the probability is less, and the impact is also very less. That means these kind of risk, what we see, affects the business very rarely or very less frequently, and also the monetary impact what it has on the business is also very less. But when it comes to risk B, the frequency is very less, but if it happens, then the monetary impact will be very high. Did you understand the point here?
Yes, yes.
So when plotting risk on the map, management can present the risk based on their inherent assessment, that is the level of risk in each event before any mitigation action is taken. So you will be seeing all this, you can put there, and you can understand like this an example. We can understand how serious these risks are to our company. And there's an example here. For example, risk I, lower right hand corner. So let's see what is the characteristic of that. Here you see the probability of I occurring is very high. That means 7 out of 8 times this kind of risk occurs for the business, and the monetary impact, but the monetary impact of that is very very less. Correct, the monetary loss is less, even though the frequency of this is more. That means the this kind of risk is more often seen in the business. That means business is exposed to this risk many a times. Okay, not rarely, but very regularly the business is exposed to this kind of risk. But the monetary impact is negligible, very less. That's what they are saying. So risk I has a high probability of occurring, but its potential cost is not as great as the potential risks G or H. So you can check that one, Suman. It's very easily, it can be easily understood. Correct? Shall I move forward?
Okay, sir.
Because that is like what I explained is the final thing. Other things also you can like see F. F is something which is happening. We can see it happens moderately. The frequency is like 50-50, like 50-50 times it sometimes it happens, sometimes it not. But the monetary impact is also like halfway, 50-50, like that. You can study. Is the occurrence is also something which is like in on an average or in between, and the monetary impact is also in between. Okay, not much high, not much low, it's not in the extreme side. Fine. Can you give me a second, Suman? Just you look at this. I have got a call, 2 minutes. Now next one, quantitative assessment tools. So if you want to quantify your risk, how come you can do that? See, there should be some methodology to do that, correct? So the first method what we are using is VAR, value at risk. See, value at risk is nothing but one of the tools, or it is one of the methods with which you can quantify the risk. So what does it mean? See, it measures the potential loss in value of a risky asset as the result of a specific risk event over a defined period for a given confidence interval. So I'll tell you how. So this is a normal distribution curve, bell-shaped curve. Okay, and confidence interval means what? It is the like it is the level between which your parameter lies. In the sense, these are some technical terms, so don't go for that those technical terms, but you understand what is bar. Suppose I keep it here, and the confidence interval is suppose 95%. What is that? Hello.
95%.
There are three types of confidence levels: 90%, 95%, 99%. So you can keep these levels. Okay. And why did I take left side, not right side? Because I am measuring loss. Okay. So suppose this is my 95% confidence interval. Okay. And so in a normal distribution, they mentioned here 95% of the results lie within 1.96 standard deviations of mean. So let's say this is mean. So 1.796 standard deviations of mean is nothing but from here to 1.96 standard deviations away from mean. So 95% confidence interval is nothing but it is 1.96 standard deviations away from the mean. Did you understand what I mean?
No, sir. Can you explain a bit?
See, you should, for that reason, you should have some command over statistics. But what to say? Many students are from not that back, not from that background. So suppose this is normal distribution curve. This is called average, mean. Okay. Suppose let's say you have invested in some mutual funds and you are expecting 10% returns from that mutual funds. But there are chances that you can get 12% as well as 8%. That can be. So what is the standard deviation here?
2%.
That shows that there is a volatility of 2% in this in getting these returns. That can, the returns can be more than this or less than this. There's a chance or volatility or deviation. Okay. So here there is a concept called Z score. So all those things are not there for you in your CMA curriculum or syllabus anyways, anywhere. So I don't want to take you to those to that depth of the subject, not required even, but you can understand basically if this is mean and this is 95% confidence interval, that means from here to here the distance is nothing but 1.96 standard deviations. How much?
1.96.
That's it. Okay. So 95% results, that means your results lie 1.96 standard deviations away from the mean. That is what is nothing but the meaning of putting this point called 95% confidence interval. Okay. So suppose there is a loss on a given day. On a given day, your loss is, suppose you invested in some mutual fund or some portfolio, and you are assuming that your loss can be 10,000 on some given day. Okay. So how will you interpret this with respect to VAR? You can understand this statement. You are confident. You are 95% confident. What is that? Because this is the confidence interval. Am I right?
Hmm?
This is the
Nine.
confidence interval, na?
Hmm.
Hello.
Hello. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
This is the confidence interval. Correct.
Okay.
95% here. The line which I have drawn is called the confidence interval, and beyond this is 5%. That is called significance level. What is that?
Significance level.
Yeah. So see, I am giving a statement. You have invested your money in a portfolio, and that portfolio can give you a loss of $10,000. Okay, let's not go for portfolio. Let's say bank. A bank gives loans to its customers. Am I right?
Yeah.
And every bank knows that in a given year, or like say, let's say, like in a given year, they can incur a loss of 10 lakhs. How much?
10 lakhs.
10 lakhs. Because every business knows that, suppose if I am also running an academy or any businessman, they know that suppose there's a sole trading concern, sole proprietor who is into like selling provisions to people, like he sells kirana items to people in local language we can say, and he even knows that there can be bad debts to him in a year, and in a given year he can like lose 1 or 2 lakh rupees or 10% of his sales. Okay, that makes sense. Let's say he
Okay.
loses 10% of his sales. So bank also gives loans to various people, and they have calculated that whatever the loans they have given, out of that some 10% they're going to lose, and that amount is this much. How much? 10 lakhs, correct?
Right.
So I'm dividing this 10 lakhs with 365. So per day's loss will be 2,739 rupees. Okay, let's say. So from like, so if I have to interpret, bank clearly knows that bank is 95% confident that on a given day its loss is going to be how much? 2,739 rupees, correct? Hello.
Bit complicated.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm just seeing so.
No, but I'm not getting your like feedback immediately. So like I need to ask now. So you are 95% confident. See, I have given you a scenario. The
Mm,
scenario is banks per day losses 2,739 rupees.
okay.
So with this, the bank financial the risk manager of a bank issues a statement that they say that their bank is 95% confident that on a given day the bank's loss is going to be 2,739 rupees. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And 5%, so 95% and 5% it can be more than 2,739 rupees. So bank is not worried about 2,739 rupees. Let me be like, let me give you a frank interpretation. What bank is worried is the 5% thing. That is, the loss should not be more than 2,709. Why? Because bank is ready for this. Every business knows that some loss they are going to incur, and they are also well prepared and ready for that. But if the loss is going to be more than the estimated, then it is a problem for them. Correct?
Right.
So this is
Yeah.
the way they this is the way to quantify their losses or their risk. Okay, by the help of VAR. So the example is given. Just read that example and make a note of these points which I have explained here. Once make a note of this, now I'll move forward.
Okay, sir.
Okay, just read this statement.
Cash. If a war on asset is 100 million at 1 week, 95% confidence level, there is only a 5% chance that the value of asset will drop more than 100 million over any given week. Okay.
So, if the VAR on an asset is $100 million at 1 week, that means VAR is nothing but the value at risk. So this $100 million is on stake. Okay, so this is the total asset which is at risk. Fine. So 95% confidence level, there is only a 5% chance that the value of the asset will drop more than 100 million over any given week. That means they are 95% confident that this much they are going to lose, but 5% that it can be more than this also. Correct? Hello.
Right.
That's what. The asset value will fall by 100 million, that they are 95% confident. and they're not worried about, because they're well prepared for that. But 5% they're worried that it can be more than that, and for that it's a serious matter for them. Now, so this is one of the ways to quantify the risk. Second is cash flow at risk. Previously we have done VAR. Now this is, instead of value, we are taking the cash flow. Okay. Then here, instead of, see, what is the difference between value and cash flow? Value is nothing but assets. Assets can have value. Cash flow is nothing but you are generating some cash flows every year. So that cash flow is also at risk now. That means there is a chance that you may get less cash flows. Are you understanding?
Right.
Earnings is again less earnings. Okay. Then earnings distribution is also one of the ways of, or graphical representation of probability distribution of various potential levels of return. So all this, like benchmarking or earnings per share distribution, all these are some particular measures with which we can quantify the risk, or we can study the risk in monetary terms. Understood? Or in quantitative terms, or in percentage terms. Fine.
Okay.
See, all this can be put on the normal distribution curve. You can set an average and you can see the deviations, put some confidence interval. Like these are all like VAR. Okay. But in VAR, we are studying value at risk. But in all this, we are studying something at risk, that is cash flow or earnings, how they are distributing, or EPS per share distributions. That means earnings can be distributed to all the shareholders. Like we are seeing that, this we are seeing in total terms, this we are seeing per share terms. Okay. And benchmarking compares company's risk profile and the impact of potential risk with those of similar companies. That means you are comparing your company's performance with the benchmark can be industry average as well. To industry average is nothing but, there are many industries, there are many firms which are a part of an industry. So that whole industry, how it is performing, and you can compare your performance with that whole industry's performance. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. That's
Yeah.
called benchmarking. Yeah. Next, risk prioritization, or giving the priority to those risks which are very deadly, or in the sense which are very harmful, or which are very which can have a very big which can have a high monetary impact, or which can cause bigger monetary loss to our business. So we will first give priority to them. Am I right? So we have already seen the map now. In this map, what we see is risk H is something whose monetary impact is the highest and whose frequency is also the highest. Correct? So our
Okay.
aim would be to minimize that kind of risk first, instead of the first one, A. Am I right? Yes?
Okay.
Yeah. So the first will be putting those risks into the into the sequence, which is most harmful, or which can cause the company, uh, uh, which can like create a bigger, bring a bigger loss to the company. So we'll first prioritize that, give ranking to that first, and first try to mitigate or minimize those kind of risks, and then go for the next one. Now, so here are some points. After the risk has been identified and assessed, the company must decide which risks rank the highest in the priority and thus should be addressed first. This, this decision combines quantitative and qualitative analysis. So four terms are used to express the measurement of potential loss that occur from a specific risk. So we can see, we can, with this four, what we are going to discuss right now, we can see these are very much important to express the potential loss that can occur from a specific risk. So first one is expected loss. Okay. Given a set of probabilities, then unexpected loss. See, expected loss and unexpected loss, what is the difference? Can you give me some example for this if you have?
Expected loss.
Is what is always expected.
Yeah.
Correct.
If
So
yeah,
if I
like
think that, see, if there is a bank and it gives loans to all the customers, like to many people, they know that 10% of those people will default.
true,
Every
true.
year they are seeing that for $1 million of loans what they are giving, 10% they will lose. That is expected. Always it happens. Usually or generally, on an average, it happens. Unexpected is Vijay Mallya's case.
Right.
Since 40 years, Vijay Mallya was taking loans from various banks. He was paying interest to them without failure. Never he defaulted. One bad decision of running that Kingfisher Airlines and not listening to his directors, maybe it was his dream project or whatever. He should have listened to the directors that it's not going to give them some returns from that, because they are into liquor business and they are the world's number one. They were acquiring a lot of many companies also. He lost and he was in deep losses and he defaulted. So do you expect that kind of, no bank expected this from Vijay Mallya? Of course they were looking into all the acquisitions which were happening and the events whatever were happening in his companies, but still for people in general it was very unexpected. Why? Because suddenly he has defaulted and like many banks lost their money. So it was unexpected loss. Someone who has never defaulted, if he defaults, is a unexpected loss, and that too since 40 years they did not default. Then maximum probable loss. That means what's the like maximum loss? What can happen? Maximum possible loss. What do you mean by probable and possible? Probable means there are chances. You're
Possibility.
not confirmed that this is the amount, but possible losses you're confirmed. Okay.
Right.
Now, so I have already given you about the given the like expected loss thing to you. So we'll do a question here. So a company determined that a particular loss event has the following probabilities of loss during 1 year period. So these are the amounts of loss and the probabilities given. So we will just multiply those probabilities. Okay. Why are we multiplying those probabilities with the amount of loss? This is the loss which we are going to incur, and these are the chances which we are going to incur. Correct?
Right.
So company has determined that a particular loss event has following probabilities of loss. Probabilities must add up to 100%. That is always known fact. So this should be always be 100. And expected loss, if you want to find out, you have to multiply the probability with the loss amount. Understood? Hello?
Okay. Yeah, sir.
Yeah, to find out the expected loss, the formula is to multiply the probability into amount.
Amount.
So you get all these amounts, and this is the expected loss. So even though this is not one of the possible outcomes, it is the expected loss, a weighted average of all possible losses given their probabilities. So we have considered the probabilities and also the amounts, and we know 10% chances that we will get this much, we will incur this much loss. So that amount happens to be this much, correct? That 10% amount, isn't it so?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is expected. That's what. So obviously this process is greatly influenced by possible outcomes used and probability assigned to each outcome. For example, if this much loss has been given a 10% chance of occurring and the probability of this much loss has been decreased by 5%, the expected loss would have been higher. Why? Because it would have been 50,000 if it was 5 lakhs, correct? And
Right.
if this decreased by 5%, so it would have been 5,000. So this would have been more than this by 45,000, correct? The
Yes.
expectation would have been higher. Am I right? So that's what. So let us continue the next part tomorrow. Is that fine, or shall I continue? It's like already 157.
Kitna remaining है, sir?
This is the, this is a big chapter. It's not a
Yeah,
small.
so then we will do it in the next class.
Okay. Okay, fine. It will take more. I think by this week we can try to finish this. Okay.
ठीक है, sir.
Okay, Suman. Then we'll take the next class day after tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.